everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Dorotea. I am a crochet designer behind Croby Patterns. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful sweater. It is very simple and quite beginner friendly. So this sweater is made in just a few simple steps. We are going to start with the main part, which is this area here. This is the front size, this is the first strap, this is the second strap that we are going to create a little bit later, and this is the back side of the sweater. Then we are going to, after we have the main part, then we are going to create this part here, so the second strap, which is made of two parts, and this second strap is actually totally functional and it will give you additional space for the head, so the sweater is very easy to dress. Then we are going to create sleeves, which are made directly on the sweater, but I will also provide instructions for creating the sleeves separately and then later attaching them to the main part. And the last part of our sweater is this part here, which is the row around the neck area. Row made of single crochet stitches, just so we clean the edges and make everything nice and professional and very presentable. I was using cotton yarn. I do that mostly for the demonstration purposes. This way the stitches can be seen very clearly. However, you can always use the yarn you prefer. A great substitution would be merino in this case. Just make sure the gauge is correct and you are ready to go. The written instructions can be found on my blog. The ad-free PDF pattern will be available in my pattern shop and also to my creative back there on Patreon. I will leave all the links. Alright, so here are the materials you're going to need for this project. You are going to need two colors of yarn. I'm going to use Drops Paris yarn in this minty color and in beige color. You can use any color combination you like, and I am going to put on the screen how much yarn you're going to need for this project. So this is Aran Weight yarn, it is 100% cotton yarn, and this is my choice of yarn. However, you can use any yarn you like, just make sure the gauge is correct and you are ready to go. So, in addition to that, you are going to need 4.5mm crochet hook or crochet hook to obtain the gauge. You can find the gauge in the description box of this video and on the written instructions. Then you are going to need two buttons, and each button is, let's see, 1.4mm, which is 0.6 inches. I hope that's correct. Then you are going to need scissors and stitch markers. I have two here, but I don't know, maybe along the way you are going to need more, or if you prefer to work without stitch markers, that's okay too. Alright, this is going to be our main color, and this beige color is going to be our contrasting color. And we are going to start with a very long chain. So let's start with the slip knot. This is my way of making a slip knot. I am going over my finger and then I make a cross, as you can see here. And then I go under and I pull the yarn through the loop, and this is my slip knot. Now I'm going to insert the hook, my 4.5mm crochet hook, and I'm going to tighten the slip knot and create a foundation chain made of 34 chains. So let's start. I am going to yarn over and pull the yarn through, and that's the first chain. Yarn over and pull the yarn through. Again, yarn over and pull the yarn through. And now we are going to create one additional chain, and that additional chain is going to be our turning chain. And this chain is going to help us lift the row. After that are going to be made of half double crochet stitches, and I'm going to show you how to make a half double crochet stitch. One other thing that I want to mention here is that we are going to work into back bumps. Okay, so if you look at your foundation chain, you can see the side with 2 loops, as you can see here, and then the side with just 1 loop, as you can see here. And I am going to work into this side here, and those loops are called back bumps, and we are going to use those for our first row. Yeah, we are going to yarn over, so for the half double crochet stitch you have to yarn over first. We are going to skip our first chain because that of course is our turning chain, and we are going to continue in the second chain of the foundation chains. So this one, we have to skip this one, and we are going to insert our hook into that second one. So that is what we have so far. Now we are going to grab the yarn on the other side and pull it through. And as you can see here, we have 3 loops on our crochet hook. So 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to yarn over again and pull the yarn through all 3 loops on your crochet hook. And this is actually our first stitch of the row, and we are going to mark this first stitch of the row with a stitch marker, and we are going to insert it here. I'm going to take out my crochet hook. This is our stitch, and we are going to insert the stitch marker here on the top of our stitch. And if you look at the stitches, you can see that the top of the stitch is the same as here, the bottom of the foundation chain. You see 2 loops, front and back loop. Alright, we are going to continue with our half double crochet stitches all the way to the end of the row. So yarn over, insert the hook into the loop. Remember, we are working into back bumps. You can also work into, this side of the foundation chain. That is perfectly fine, but just stay on one side. So if you're using back bumps, use just back bumps. And if you are using those, it doesn't really matter, front or back loop on this other side of the foundation chain, then stay with this side and stay with just 1 loop, so front or back. Alright, so yarn over, insert the hook, pull through, 1, 2, 3, pull through. Okay, so those are our first 3 stitches. So you can pause the video here and continue with your stitches and come back once you have all 33 half double crochet stitches, and I will show you how to change the yarn and how to continue with your crochet sweater. Here we are at the end of our first row. So just for the reference, I am going to measure this first row, and I am at 23 centimeters, just so you know how wide this sweater will be. And yes, you probably finished the last stitch of the row, which is totally okay. What we are going to do now is we are going to go back a little bit to the step where you have 3 loops on your crochet hook, and this is the step where we are going to switch the color. So you can go and cut the yarn here, take the contrasting color, grab that color, so grab that yarn and pull the yarn through all 3 loops on your crochet hook. And no, this is not going to change the way your last stitch looks. The important thing is that you have to pull the yarn ends very tight, especially at the end, when you are going to, where you will be hiding your yarn ends between the stitches. But for now, this is perfectly fine. All you have to do is chain 1, and this is again our turning chain. We are going to turn our work, yarn over, and we are going to insert the hook under those 2 loops, so into the first stitch of the row. And here is a brilliant example that you can see that this here is our turning chain, And this here is our first stitch of the row, and this is where our first stitch of the row will go, because that is the last stitch of our previous row. So let's insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and pull the yarn through all the loops in your crochet hook. Now we are going to insert the stitch marker into the stitch, and we are going to continue with the beige yarn, so with our contrasting color, and work one half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across. Alright, so here we are at the end of our second row. Again, just for the reference, I'm going to measure, and as you can see, we have 2 good centimeters of fabric at the moment. And from here on, you are going to continue repeating those 2 rows, and we have 2 rows already, but you need to repeat those 2 rows 4 more times, so that we are going to have 10 rows at the end of this multicolor or 2-color fabric. Alright, so here we have all 12 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We need to finish with the contrasting color, so if you want to have a larger sweater and if you want to make more rows, so more rows with 2 colors, then you can do that, but you need to finish with the contrasting color yarn. What we are going to do now is we are going to continue working in rows, we are going to continue working half double crochet stitches, but we are going to work with just main colors, so in my case that is mint color, and we are going to create additional 6 rows of half double crochet stitches. Once you have all those 6 rows, come back and I will show you what to do next, because we are going to start building the collar, so we are going to start building the top of the sweater, so the part that comes around the neck area. Just for the reference, we are going to now measure all 12 rows, so how tall they are, and what we are getting is 11 centimeters. So we are 11 centimeters at the moment, and we are going to now create 6 additional rows. I think there should be around 17 centimeters in total once we have all those rows completed. I just finished all 6 rows of half double crochet stitches made with the main color, and now I am going to measure the fabric, which is, I think, 23 centimeters wide and 17 centimeters high. And now we are going to continue with the straps. We are going to create one strap first and then the second strap. So for the straps, I am going to take 2 additional stitch markers, and I am going to mark 10 stitches in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, this side, this is chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, and now we are going to continue with the straps, and the straps are made with half double crochet stitches, but also half double crochet 2 together stitches, which means that we are going to join 2 stitches together here on the inner side of the straps. So this side here and this side here is going to have a few decreases, and that is because we want our straps to be smaller than this, so not that wide. And that is because we want our straps to be narrower than this, so just a little bit smaller than this, what we have now. And we want the yoke, so the opening for the hat, a little bit bigger than we have now. One other thing that I want to mention here is that one side is going to be made in just one piece, so one strap is going to be made in one piece, and the other strap is going to be made of 2 straps, so one part here and then additional part here, just because we want those two parts of the strap overlapping, and we are going to attach the buttons, make buttonholes and attach the buttons, so the opening for the hat is even bigger. And that is because we want our sweater to be very easy to pull over the hat. So let's continue with the strap number 1. This is going to be strap that is going to be made in one piece. This is my chain here, so if you don't have it yet, please create a turning chain first. Then we are going to turn the row, so we are going to turn our work, and we are going to create 8 half double crochet stitches. 1, 2. Alright, 2 stitches left, and we are going to use those 2 stitches for the decrease. Yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through. You have 1, 2, 3 stitches. You have 1, 2, 3 loops on your crochet hook. Insert the hook into the stitch, pull it through, and now you have 4. And grab the yarn and pull it through all the loops on your crochet hook. I just want to mention here that my half double crochet stitches are a little bit different than they're supposed to be, so you can make just your normal half double crochet stitches, or you can use my technique, whichever one you prefer. So we are going to chain 1, and we are going to start our second row with a half double crochet stitch. So again, you can create your own half double crochet stitch the way you are used to, or you can repeat after me. So I'm going to yarn over first, insert the hook into the stitch and pull the yarn through. 1, 2, 3 loops on my crochet hook, and then I'm going to insert the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through. 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your crochet hook. Alright, now I'm going to create half double crochet stitches all the way to the end of the row. So this is what we have so far. As you can see here, the strap is getting smaller and smaller. So we are going to continue with this technique. We are going to create 1 decrease more, and then we are going to continue with the rows made of half double crochet stitches without any decreases or increases. Chain 1, that's our turning chain, and we are going to work half double crochet stitches all the way almost to the end of the row until our last 2 stitches. So I'm going to mark my first stitch. So we have 2 more. All right. And now we are going to join the last 2 stitches with a half double crochet 2 together stitch, like this. All right, and as you can see here, it's even smaller, the strap is even smaller, and now we are going to create 2 more rows of half double crochet stitches. This is what we have so far. We have 3 rows with decreases and then 2 additional rows with just half double crochet stitches. Now, the last row is very important because we are going to continue working and create a foundation chain for the back side of the sweater. And because we have 7 stitches here already, we have to create 26 chains to achieve the full row. And those 26 chains are going to be our foundation chain for the back side of the sweater. So let's do that. 1, 2, we have 7 stitches and now we have 26 chains, and we are going to now create 1 additional chain for our turning chain. The next step is exactly the same as we were doing here at the beginning of our sweater. So in row 1, we are going to work into back bumps. So I'm going to turn my chain. So this first one is a turning chain, and now I am going to create half double crochet stitches, half double crochet stitch into the next one. Continue doing that all the way to the end of the row. One other thing that I want to mention here is that we are going to continue with the back side of the sweater now, and once we complete the back side of the sweater, we're going to come back and we are going to create this strap here. I just want to quickly explain something. So if you're working into back bumps as I do here, you are going to come to this confusion. So it will look something like this. It's very confusing. But if you count the stitches, if you have 25 stitches here, then you know that you have to use this thing here. This is actually a chain to create your 26th stitch. And then you're going to turn and continue working into the stitches from the row below. So I know this might look a little bit confusing, but it's going to be much easier for us to create the straps here, because as you can see here, this side of this part looks the same on both sides. So it's the same as if you would have the top of the row. It is much easier to create your stitches into something like that than just into the chain. So that's why I'm using back bumps, but if you prefer to use the other side of the chain, that's perfectly fine too. Alright, the first row on the back is now complete, so we need to create 10 more rows to achieve the same segment on the back as we have here on the front. So you can pause the video here, finish all 10 rows, and then come back and I will show you how to create this segment here. I just finished the back side of the panel that is made with the same main color. So this is what we have so far. What we are going to do now is we are going to do the same as we did here, but we are going to start with the contrasting color and continue with the main color and contrasting color, main color, and so on until we have all the rows we need here. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to switch the colors here and continue with the contrasting color. Yeah, you can continue working on your rows and come back once you have all those rows. So you are going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you are going to need 12 rows, and you are going to start with the contrasting color and you are going to end those rows with the main color. So at the end of the back side of your sweater, you are going to have 12 rows, 6 rows made with a contrasting color and 6 rows made with the main colors. Like I mentioned earlier, you are going to start with the contrasting color, continue with the main color, and go all the way down to until you reach your row 12. And once you have that, come back and I will show you how to make the strap. So this part here, this strap is going to be made in 2 pieces, and I'm going to show you how to create both of those 2 pieces. Alright, and this is our last stitch on the main part. We are going to create something like 1 chain, but instead of leaving it as a chain, we are going to pull the yarn through, and this is how you fasten off. Okay, all we need to do now is to hide this yarn tail between the stitches, and this part here is finished. Now let's go back for a little bit, because we still did not finish or even started the second strap, and that is exactly what we are going to do now. When I was designing a pattern, I created this imitation of the strap, so it is made of two pieces. This part here, this piece is the front part, and this is the one that is coming from the back. The one that is coming from the back has two little buttons, and this one that is coming from the front has two holes. And that is exactly what we are going to make. So we are going to create a strap, one strap here, and we are going to create one strap here. And this is great because you can open this strap and the opening for the head is even bigger, which is great when you are dressing and undressing a child. So all we have to do now is to create those two parts, and then the main part of the sweater is going to be finished. And because the first row on the strap starts with the half double two together stitch, because here on the inner side was made half double two together stitch, we have to start with a half double two together stitch here as well. But because we have to attach the yarn to the main part with chain one, we are going to create chain one into the first one, half double crochet stitch into the second one, and we are going to insert the stitch marker into the second stitch. So we are going to skip the chain, and it's going to look like we have a decrease in the pattern, so like we have a half double crochet stitch. Alright, so let's create a chain. Let's attach the yarn to the main part. So this is chain one, and now I am going to create a half double crochet stitch into the next stitch. It's good to pull the yarn tails tightly. Insert the stitch marker. You see, we are inserting the stitch marker into the first half double crochet stitch and not chain here at the beginning, because this chain here is a decrease, let's say it like this. And now we are going to create one half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way to the end of the row. One other thing that you probably have seen me doing is that I like to, when I'm crocheting, I like to take the yarn tail and crochet over the yarn tail. That helps me to hide the yarn tail between the stitches, but only halfway through, because all I have to do now is take the yarn needle, skip this first loop, and then continue hiding the yarn tail between the stitches, and that will secure my yarn tail very nicely between the stitches. Okay, so this is our first row now. What we are going to do now is we are going to chain one, turn the row, and we are going to crochet half double crochet stitches all the way to the end of the row, and then we are going to stop 2 stitches before the end of the row and join the last 2 stitches with a half double 2 together stitch. So chain one, turn the row, and work one half double crochet stitch in the next view. So we've created 7 half double crochet stitches, and now we are going to join the last 2 stitches with a half double crochet 2 together stitch, so decrease. Perfect. Now we are going to chain one, turn our work, and start with a half double 2 together stitch. Like this. Insert the stitch marker into the first stitch of the row and work one half double crochet stitch into each of the next, I think, 6 half double crochet stitches. Alright, so the next row is a little bit different because here we are going to create 2 holes for the buttons. We are going to start with chain one, and then we are going to create one half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. As always, I am going to insert the stitch marker into the first stitch of the row, like this. Okay, now I'm going to chain one and I'm going to skip one stitch, and that is going to give me a hole for the button. Create one half double crochet stitch into each of next two stitches. So this is the first one. As you can see here, we skipped one stitch right here, and now we are creating two half double crochet stitches, as you can see here. The next one is going to be buttonhole, so chain one, skip one, and create a half double crochet stitch into the very last stitch of the row. So we are skipping this one and we are using that last stitch of the row. Alright, so this is the row with the buttonholes, and don't worry about this part here. It might look a little bit too small maybe for this part here, so for the collar, but don't worry because we are going to make one row of single crochet stitches all the way around, so this part here is not going to be so small. Alright, so the next row is row made of single crochet stitches, and this stitch is a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to make a single crochet stitch. We are going to start with chain one and turn the row, and now we are going to insert the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through. We have two loops in our crochet hook, and finish the stitch, and that is a single crochet stitch. Insert the marker again, okay, so this is our last stitch. Now again, fasten off. It's the same as if you would create a chain, but you pull the yarn through. Yeah, so, and this is how the front part of the strap looks like. Now what we have to do is we have to but create the back side of the strap, and for that we are going to need 7 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again we are going to start from here, so from the left to the right side, like this. And because this part is without any increases or decreases, we are going to start with the chain. So pull the loop through and create a chain. And now we are going to create our first half double crochet stitch. Again, if you can see here that I am taking the yarn tail with me. I'm crocheting around it. Those stitches here on the top, so this first row might be a little bit tighter than the rest because this row is made into the foundation chain, so this is not the top of the row but the beginning, or at least it's part of the foundation chain, so the stitches might be a little bit tighter. So this is the first one, and let's continue all the way to the end of the row. Alright, I think that's all 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work and work 1 half double crochet into each of the stitch from the row below, so into each of the next 7 stitches. Okay, fasten off, cut the yarn, pull the loop through, and this is now our back side of the strap. This is how it looks, and the front is going on the top of the back strap, so back part of the strap. What we are going to do now is we are going to attach two buttons, but we have to know where the holes are, so we are going to attach the buttons corresponding to the buttonholes. Please attach the buttons or anything you're attaching to the sweaters, rompers, cardigans, whatever you're doing for the babies or for children. Please attach it really good, because you never know when this small button can fall off and the baby can swallow it. So please make sure you are attaching anything you're attaching to the garments really tight, and also check on the buttons here and there and make sure they are still on the sweater or on the garment you've made. And that is not just for the sweaters and the garments you are making yourself, but for everything. You have to make sure that all the small pieces are still there. So I just finished my two buttons. I made sure that they are nicely attached to the main part. So you can see that they are totally functional. They fit the buttonholes. Our main part of the sweater is complete. What we are going to do now is we are going to attach the sleeves, and the sleeves are, or will be, from here all the way up to here. So we are going to create 1.5 stitch or 1.5 stitches for each row made of half double crochet stitches, or with other words, you are going to create 3 half double crochet stitches, so 3 stitches for every 2 rows on the main part. And the sleeve is going to be made from here all the way up to here, so including those 2 rows of half double crochet stitches made with the contrasting color. And the left and the right sleeve are exactly the same. The only difference between those two is that this right side is a little bit challenging because you have this part here that is overlapping. So you have this part here that is overlapping. So I'm going to show you how to make a sleeve on the right side, and then you are going to create a sleeve on the left side of the sweater yourself. And I am going to start in this stitch here, so in this row here, with chain 1, because we want our sleeve to go like this. So getting smaller and smaller. We are going to create our first stitch of this first row is going to be half double crochet stitch, half double crochet 2 together stitch. So we are going to create a decrease. As we did earlier, we are going to use this chain as a first part of our decrease. So as the first leg of our half double crochet 2 together stitch, and we are going to leave it as it is at the moment. We are going to create a half double crochet stitch here in the middle between this row and this row, and because this is, and in this case this half double crochet stitch is exactly the same as our second leg of the half double crochet 2 together stitch, and for that we are going to insert a marker into that stitch. All right, so we have to create 1 stitch here into this row. Oh, we have to do half double crochet stitch. Now we are going to continue, and we are going to create 3 stitches into the next 2 rows. So here, so into this row, the middle here, the center, and this row. So let's do it. We are going to create like here, and then I'm going to create 1 here, somewhere here, and then 1 here. So we covered first 2 rows and the second 2 rows. Now we are going to continue with the next 2. It's probably not the simplest way to create sleeves, so you can also create a foundation chain made of 34 stitches or 34 chains plus 1 additional chain to lift the row. Start in the second chain from the hook and start with the half double 2 together stitch. Create 30 stitches, so 30 half double crochet stitches, and then end the row with half double crochet 2 together stitch, and that would be exactly the same as our first row here. The only difference would be that you would then have to attach that sleeve. You would continue building the rows as we would build them here, but the only difference between those two techniques is that at the end you would then have to attach the sleeve to the main part, which is perfectly fine. So I am going to continue. So we have one more. We are going to create next 2 stitches into both layers of the fabric. So here and then here at the bottom, as you can see here. Grab that one and create your first half double crochet stitch. Go and create one more. And you can see now those 2 parts of the fabric are now joined together, and now we are going to create one more here. All right, so the hardest part is done now. Now, one tip before I continue. So if you see that your front part of the strap is a little bit weird, that the the end here is peeking out and so on, you can later take a yarn needle and a small amount of yarn and just pull those ends in, so they are not so visible. So what you're going to do now, you are going to continue creating stitches into those rows, and like I've mentioned, create 3 half double crochet stitches for every 2 rows of half double crochet stitches here. All right, this is what we have so far. So we have a decrease here and a decrease here. Our row starts and ends with the row of half double crochet stitches made with the contrasting colors, and all the way here we have 15 stitches, which is perfectly fine. It's also okay if you will have a stitch or even maybe 2 more or less, but just make sure you have 34 in total, including the decreases, which means at the end of this row you have to have 32 stitches. So our next row also starts with the decrease. So we are going to start with the half double 2 together stitch. Like this, and then we are going to work 1 half double crochet stitch all the way across. Okay, now 2 stitches left here, as you can see. Oh. Like this. 2 stitches left, and we are going to join those 2 last stitches of the row with a half double crochet 2 together stitch. All right, chain 1 and turn your work. This is what we have so far. And this row is very simple and straightforward, which means we are going to create 1 half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across. Alright, so here we are at the end of our 4th row of the sleeve. So we have 2 rows with decreases and 2 rows with just simple half double crochet stitches, and we are going to repeat those 4 rows 2 more times so that you will have 12 rows in total. and you can pause the video here and come back once all 12 rows are complete, and I will show you what to do next. Those are our 12 rows of half double crochet stitches, 2 rows with decreases, 2 simple rows, 2 rows with decreases, 2 simple rows, 2 rows with decreases, and 2 simple rows. Again, 12 rows in total. So what are we going to do now is we are going to create one additional row with decreases on both sides, and that is going to be it for our sleeves. However, if you feel like they should be longer or shorter, you can add or take away as many rows as you want, like I mentioned earlier, and that is completely fine. But I'm going to end my sleeve with 13 rows in total. So what I am going to do now is I am going to chain 1, turn the row, join first 2 stitches with a half double crochet 2 together stitch. I'm still going to insert the marker into the first one, and then I'm going to continue with half double crochet stitches. Alright, now I am going to join those 2 last stitches together. I am going to fasten off, and then I am going to hide the yarn tail between the stitches. Just for the reference, we are going to measure the sleeve. I am going to show you like this. So alright, so the sleeve starts somewhere here, and it is actually 13 centimeters, which is around 5 inches. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish this second sleeve, which is going to be way easier because we don't have this part, so this section on this side. And once I have that, then I am going to join the front and the back side of the sweater together, and then I'm going to create a row of stitches around the neck area. So you can pause the video here and come back once you finish your second sleeve, and then we are going to join the back and the front side of the sweater together. Alright, so the sweater is now almost complete. We finished both sleeves, and all we need to do now is to sew together the front and the back side of the sweater, as you can see here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the sweater, the nicer side in and the not so nice side out, and I'm going to take the yarn needle or the tapestry needle, and I'm going to sew from here all the way up here till here, and then on this side from here all the way up to here, and then all the way to the end of the sleeve. This is how my sweater looks like at the moment. This is the wrong side out, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to turn the sweater right side out, so nicer side out. So as you can see here, I was taking care of that the white lines are still aligned. And oh, I have a yarn tail here. Yeah, as you can see here that the stripes are aligned, so white with whites and mint ones with mint ones, so the main color stripes are aligned and the contrasting colors stripes are aligned. That is good. So what are we going to do now? And this is totally optional. You can finish the sweater here if you want, but I'm going to add one additional row of single crochet stitches here on the top, so around the neck area, because as you can see here, this area right here is a little bit bumpy and I don't want to have that. Alright, so why I'm saying one row of single crochet stitches? Because it's very important that we start or end here and we start or end here. We are not going to create a round that is going to connect the whole neck area, but we are going to just create it from one end to the other, and this is going to be of course the row and not the round. I am still using the same hook size, and I'm actually going to start here, and for that I'm going to use this stitch here on the top. Oh, I'm going to insert the hook and pull the yarn through, and I'm going to start with just one chain, so with attaching the yarn to the main part. And I'm not going to say you have to create a certain amount of stitches because it's really hard to say that. I'm going to create stitches as I go. I am not even going to count them. I'm going to create them evenly around the neck area. Be careful not to make too many stitches because otherwise the neck area is going to be crowded and the row is going to look like this, which is definitely not something we want. So create a bunch of stitches evenly around the neck area and you should be fine. As you can see here, I am creating single crochet stitches. And if you see that the row is getting too crowded, just go back and try it again with less stitches. This is our finished sweater now. You can see here that we finished all the pieces, that we have our sleeves, that we sewn the front and the back part of the sweater together. We attached the buttons. We've created the row of single crochet stitches around the neck area, and yeah, our crochet baby sweater is now complete. I really like how the sweater came out. I think it is pretty simple, beginner friendly pattern. I showed you all the steps that you need to take to achieve this sweater, and I hope you are going to make one yourself. If you do, please share it on Instagram or Facebook using hashtag Croby Patterns so I can find it. You can even send me a message so I can see it. It's always so nice and inspirational seeing your creations using my crochet patterns. Okay guys, that would be all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like crochet tutorials, please consider subscribing if you haven't already and turning on post notifications so you won't miss any of my future videos. Also, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up because this really helps YouTube to see that the video is good and it will recommend it to even more people. So, and if you want to support my work, you can buy a PDF pattern in one of my shops, so on Etsy or Ravelry. And if you want, you can join us on Patreon, where you will get access to additional content, to studio vlogs, access to Lens, which is very similar to Instagram stories, but I share way more than on Instagram. You will also get access to podcast newsletter and crochet alongs, and yeah, even more crochet fun. So that will be all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys next time. Bye!